Just thought I'd do a little vlog, just to say thank you. We just recently passed 23,000 subscribers, so I'm really indebted to you. And also a big thank you to all of my patrons who really generously got on board over the last few months to help support. I'm glad that you've really seemed to be enjoying episode 10, the Christopher Eccleston era. Again, I apologise for the long delay in these things coming. There was a lot of things that got in the way with the development of it, which if you've been following my channel, you'll probably be aware of. I just thought I'd do a little one of those self-obsessed videos whilst I work on the next couple of projects I'm doing. But yeah, basically just to show you around my house and to see some of my Doctor Who collectibles. So if you're in for that kind of vein, little look into my life, then I hope you enjoy. So here we are in my cave. It's our spare room. This is where I've set up my my little studio. Not quite as impressive, I know, as some sort of setups that people have, but it does the job for me. Yeah, I put up this sound sort of, well, it's not really soundproofing, is it? It's sort of sound softening for the little booth here with my mic and pop shield. My laptop with second screen and the speakers that I recently invested in. Yeah, and I just have lots of random junk and collections of stuff around here. Got my old microphone I used to do my videos on, but I still use that sometimes when I want to do sound effects for my audiobook. This is a prize collectible of mine. I think this was Product Enterprises, I believe. I might have got them wrong. Yeah, you can't. They don't make these anymore. I think they're harder to get a hold of. But I was very pleased because this was the first Dalek. Oh, this is the first Dalek that I got that is actually a little bit more accurate to how they appeared on the show. And it does have a voice control, but I took the batteries out a while ago, so I didn't want them to leak and ruin it. This is my little acknowledgement of the movie Alien. The first time I saw one of these nodding birds was at the start of Alien, and for some reason I've always wanted one, so my dad got me one a few years ago. Yeah, so this is stuff if you've watched my other sort of vlog videos, you'll be very familiar with. But the part that you never see, of course, is my actual DVD collection and some companion figures. So when I was little, it was 1993, I believe. We went to London, my family and we went to Hamleys, which, if you don't know, is a really sort of not traditional, but a very well-established toy shop in London. And when exploring this, I was also really into Star Trek as a young boy. So I found a Starship Enterprise, and I thought, oh, this is fantastic. I want to get this. So I got that. Dad bought it for me. We went upstairs, and I saw what seemed to be a whole wall full of Doctor Who figures. And because I'd already got my Star Trek Enterprise, I couldn't get it. But the next year was my 10th birthday, so we went back to London, and all the year I was determined to get all these figures. In my mind, that brief glimpse, I thought that there were a full collection of all the Doctors up to the 7th Doctor and Daleks. I was going to get them all, and I imagined it in a TARDIS, etc. And we got back there, and there were not really any left. There was a TARDIS, there was a Sylvester McCoy and an Ace, and I think a Bonnie Langford, and that was it. So I never got to realise that dream. So all of that preamble is basically to explain why I have all these figures now, because when the character options started doing their classic line, I started collecting them, and that sort of really just sort of made up for missing out on them all those years ago. So I've got mainly classic, I've got a few of the modern series ones, but yeah, there used to be in a glass cabinet downstairs, which I'll show you later, but I moved them up here once I installed my sort of studio in front of the complete DVD collection. And obviously it makes sense for them to be up here, because then when I'm making videos I can just grab a DVD off the shelf, and capture a clip from it, etc. I have got a few downstairs that I don't have here. For example, the animated Macra Terror and Faceless ones I've got downstairs, and also Series 10 I've got downstairs, and I haven't got Series 12 yet. So yeah, and that's my collection. And over here we have these two autographs I got with a collectible William Hartnell figure, which I'll show you a little bit later, but I was quite happy to get these. This came with them, signed William Russell and signed Carol Ann Ford. And then we were at a sort of sci-fi convention down the road in Norwich a couple of years ago, and there was an artist who was doing all these little prints. So we were all sort of varied. She did lots of things, sci-fi and fantasy, but I found this one, I thought that was quite interesting, sort of William Hartnell one, so I put that with those. And over on here I have another set of autographs. These ones in the middle here, Peter Davison, Colin Baker, Sylvester McCoy and Paul McGann, those were all collected in person at conventions. The Nicholas Courtney one, now this is an interesting one. My wife got me this years ago now, and obviously Nicholas Courtney had passed away by the time that she got this for me. But what I find quite intriguing about it is the fact that, I mean, I do appreciate it, but it's supposed to be Day of the Daleks. These Daleks are from Death to the Daleks. I don't believe this Brigadier image is from Day of the Daleks, and this background, this sort of weird American cityscape here is not from any story, so it's a bit of a weird composite. But nevertheless, I think it's a pretty good one. I do prefer the Brigadier looking like this as well. And this one here, Tom Baker, I missed an opportunity years ago to get his autograph, and my wife very kindly sent off for it recently for me. So you can get him to, you know, personalise it and send it on to you, so that's nice at the top there. And over here I've got this enormous poster that my wife again got for me. She indulges my geekiness quite a lot. A sort of Haynes Guide to the Daleks. So if anyone comes around and stays, and they stay in this room, they have that looking at them, alongside this unique piece here, which my mother-in-law is a glass artist, so she makes, amongst many things, she makes some fantastic sort of glass sculptures and bowls and things like that, and sort of stained glass panels. And a few years ago she made this sort of Dalek mirror for me. So obviously when we renovated this room, made it into my sort of hub, he definitely had to go up on there. And over here I got this at a convention last year. I was wandering about, and Chris Achilleos was there, and he had loads of his Target paperback prints behind him, and I chose the Web of Fear because I think that's probably my favourite one. What I like about this image is the fact that obviously these were designed to have the title and the logo above them. So when you take that away, sometimes they look a bit strangely sort of composed, but this one with the web I think works really, really well, still just as an image on its own. So he then signed that for me. So that's my sort of main hub. Now, if you've seen my other video about sort of behind the scenes, I did look at my books in that, but I thought for the sake of completeness, I've updated a few things, got a few extra things. So I've got this TARDIS console, or TARDIS instruction manual since, and that's going to come in handy for another little video that I'm working on. I've started getting more of the missing adventures, the Virgin Missing Adventures recently. I popped this mechanoid in here because he was taking up a bit of room on my desk, and I thought he would look quite good there with the Target books. And I got a few more of the new series novels that I'm slowly working my way through. Other than that, and other than a few other books, such as my I got these beautiful sort of deluxe hardback editions of Tolkien's Legendarium, because this shelf was looking a little bare before because it was being prepared for their arrival. Also didn't mention my wife's bookcase. Well, sort of, we sort of share. This is her main one. She's a big Harry Potter fan, so she has her little things there. And our travel guides. Whenever we go anywhere, we like to get a little travel book I haven't actually been to all these places, but my wife has. So yeah, that's our little library. And here we are in our living room. The geeky junk just doesn't stop. So those are those two animated steelbooks that I got recently. I haven't watched Faceless Fund yet, but I'm getting around to it. And just random things, really. A little Tyrion Lannister here. We used to have our Game of Thrones DVDs on here. We do still have them, they're up there. Yeah, and my wife has got me these lovely Lego. I'm very much into NASA and space travel, as you can probably imagine. So yeah, these little model kits are particularly good for that. For that interest. Here's Lord Vader himself. And this is my award for the best dressed male, or most stylish male, that we got from the silly thing at a school sort of do. Spared no expense either with a little stuck on label there, but never mind. My favourite television series ever, after Doctor Who, as I've mentioned before, and a little 3D printed Battlestar Pegasus that a tech teacher friend of mine did for me a couple of years ago to try out his 3D printer. I've meant to paint it actually, I never really got around to it, it's quite tiny. My favourite film, with a little spinner. A DeLorean. Always wanted a DeLorean. I was very happy to sit in one when I was young and go on a holiday to Florida. A time machine version, that is. And another one of my little guilty pleasures, which is these 12-inch figures. The very first one I ever got was, I used to work in a bookshop in Meadowhall in Sheffield, and I used to walk past this sort of collector's store every day to work, and I kept seeing this Obi-Wan Kenobi figure from episode 3, and I couldn't quite resist myself, so I got him, and he was all I had for a while. I thought, there you go, that's fine. And then I realised that basically I shouldn't just stop there, so I started getting these other ones, and they were for a while a good sort of, you know, if my wife would say, what do you want for Christmas, what do you want for your birthday, I would just say, I want this particular figure, or she'd just get me one. But normally I pre-order them and they take forever to come out, and sometimes they're delayed, so she stopped sort of getting me them because she doesn't want me to have to wait as long. So a few of these she got for me. Those were the first ones I got, sort of sideshow ones. They're very good, but they're not nowhere near the sort of quality of these sort of Hot Toys ones. There's Rey and Boba Fett, and then this was the first one actually that she got me, which was the Joker. I think he's a 2.0 version, DX11, I might be wrong. And we have the Terminator and Batman from Dark Knight Rises, and then here's my most recent acquisition, the Emperor here. And I have a sideshow Darth Vader with him. Now I got this guy in Chicago. We went to a Star Wars celebration last year and I managed to pick him up, which was very expensive, but it was a lot more reasonably priced than what he had been if I tried to get it in England. Now I don't normally buy these ones that much anymore because I kind of save my money for these folks. As soon after I started getting into them, Big Chief Studios announced that they had the license to do 12-inch figures, and this was the first one. Another present from my wife. And yeah, I mean, they've come on leaps and bounds in quality, but even so, they started off pretty good. So that's a signature edition. And then we have another Matt Smith over here that I got at the Doctor Who festival a few years ago. And he is there at the moment, but he will be going eventually up here to this enormous diorama TARDIS, so he'll be coming out of this door. I need to change the backdrop though, so it will be Matt Smith and not Capaldi. Now this will be in a glass case, and I have the perspex for it. I've just not got round to sort of fixing it all together at the moment. But this one is up here in this sort of plinth that I made at school. It does need little bit of a touch up in places. And down here we have the War Doctor and the Ninth Doctor, and then number 10. They did do a different number 10 as well, but I prefer the brown suit. They did a blue suit one. And here's the latest one, the Paul McGann one, which I was very, very happy to get. And I've got the Paul McGann signature edition, Tom Baker as well, signature edition. And there's the William Hartnell, obviously William Hartnell couldn't do a signature edition, but they popped in those two signatures of his companions. And at the bottom here we have my wife's one, Benedict Cumberbatch, and that's obviously a signature edition as well, Sherlock Holmes. So that's the sort of big chief cabinet. I've also got Third Doctor and the 13th Doctor on pre-order, so I'll be making room for them. I'm going to have to do a bit of a reshuffle, I think. Now, I was pretty pleased with this, if I do say so myself. My wife and I got engaged in Berlin in front of the Brandenburg Gate, and when we were thinking about decorating our house, I said, well, we should get an image of the Brandenburg Gate where we got engaged, because it would be something quite personal. But we couldn't find one which had the sort of dead-on symmetry that this one has. So in the end, we actually went back to Berlin, not just for this, I might add, but while we were there, I took advantage of the situation, took about 100 photographs of Brandenburg Gate from all different angles and spots. This isn't exactly where I proposed to her, it was just slightly off to the left, but again, I like the symmetry of it, so I took this photograph and got it printed out on canvas, and we're really happy with it because it really fills up this massive wall that we've got at the foot of the room here. Oh no, I almost forgot, there's one more little random thing here. So as I said, my mother-in-law is an artist, and she knows lots of other little artists in around the south of England, and there was this lady who does decorative wooden spoons, and so she commissioned her to do this what was then the current Dr. Capaldi spoon and TARDIS little thing, and framed it for me. So that's a nice quirky little one-off unique little piece of art that I have, along with my Last Supper Battlestar Galactica image, which I think was a publicity picture for season 4, but it was a great picture that my wife, I think, found and ordered for us, because we always said when we got a house we would put it in the dining room, which indeed we have. Oh, and one last thing. So as I mentioned before, my wife's a big Harry Potter fan, so we have this in the landing, and this is although my wife's the fan, this is actually mine. So the story behind this was, we went to the Harry Potter studio tour in, it's not Pinewood, is it Pinewood? I can't remember, big studio. And in the store, we were actually on a school trip, and all the kids would go, oh, I'm getting a wand, I'm getting this wand, and I was overcome by the need to one-up them. So I then, well, in fact, I saw the wand with the snake head on. I won't put it all the way out, but that bit comes apart, and in a case, and I thought, oh, I want to get that one. And I looked around for it, and I couldn't find it anywhere, and then I noticed in a big cabinet the one with the actual cane attached to the wand. So I sort of ummed and ahed for about half an hour, to the point where I think I was actually holding the coaches up to go back, and then I gave in and bought it and marched on board the bus as Lucius Malfoy. And on the stairs, one little nod to my other favourite character, Lord Vader, as we saw his head downstairs, and we have his lightsaber. And another autograph. This is actually probably one of my oldest things that I've got. My sister-in-law got this for me about 20 odd years ago. It was like basically when episode 1 came out. Got this signed portrait of Ewan McGregor. Now, I hasten to add that I've been a fan of Doctor Who and other things for a very, very long time. So a lot of what you've seen around my place has been collected over many, many years. And my wife kind of accuses me of being a hoarder. I don't think I am. I haven't got crates of baked beans from 1987 or anything. But you know, I never get rid of anything really when it comes to things that I've collected. So I do like these little mementos really of my fandom. So I hope that you enjoyed that little look around, and I look forward to bringing you more of my review and analysis series. The second part of Matrix I'm hoping to get uploaded finally after, what has it been, 2 years or something now that I've kept you waiting for that. So I'm hopefully finishing that very soon. I've got a few sound effects and things to put into that. And I'm also steaming ahead on a few other projects to hopefully bring to you at some point in the near future. So hope you're all taking care and keeping safe, and I'll speak soon.